All right, if you guys don't know this about me, most of you should. Any long term viewer knows that after I graduated from college in 2017, the only job that I could find was working at Walmart. And yesterday, while I was walking through the store, I saw I'd say like a 40-plus-year-old woman in leggings working at Walmart as a picker. And I asked myself, what happened to this woman? Why is she here at her age, a mildly attractive woman, working in a Walmart like this on a Friday afternoon? And the answer was simple. She couldn't find a better job. And for millions of us who can't find better jobs because of layoffs and the economy shrinking, I mean, I'm seeing it every single day at Evil Corp. The economy is shrinking. People are being asked to do more. I mean, if I had a penny for doing odd jobs at my current job, which is additional duties as required, I'd be a millionaire because every day there's something that I wasn't expecting to have to do that I'm doing. In fact, yesterday I was talking to one of my coworkers and he told me he feels just like a janitor at work. It doesn't matter what it is. When you don't have enough workers to do everything, you're doing everything. Like I've seen the office girls mopping the floor after someone spilt something in the lobby because there's no janitors. Everyone's got to clean up everything. Everyone has to do security. Everyone has to do everything. And you won't find that more than at Walmart, the worst evil corp of all. Minimum wage for its workers and relentless amounts of work. Like I remember unloading the trucks and knowing full well that there was way too much inventory and not enough people to do all this work. And I and there's nothing you could do. When you can't find a better job, Walmart's always there, but I've heard that they're getting even pickier with with the employees that they're hiring. And the reason for that is more and more upper level people are coming down to look for low level jobs. I mean, it's where you go. It's the top three, right? Walmart, Amazon, or fast food. Those are the lowest levels in our society. It's the retail and service industry that's being decimated by automation. Soon, all these low level people aren't even going to be able to do that. I mean, I was talking to one of the ladies that I work with last night. She started texting me right around midnight. And I I didn't know who would be texting me at nearly midnight. She starts texting me, and she's a middle-aged woman with 5 or 6 kids. And we started talking about pregnancy because one of the girls at work that's pregnant right now, she was asking me questions about why certain parts of her body hurt. And I was just like, I was sitting there thinking to myself, what do I know about the lady anatomy while it's pregnant? Nothing. So I just sat there and kind of just nodded as she told me all kinds of things I hope I will forget soon. But I was asking her about this, and she started telling me all about how all of her pregnancies went. And on top of that, she's sending me pregnant selfies. Like I have pictures in my phone right now of how big she got. I didn't know that women kept these pictures around. But I think she sent me 4 or 5 pictures of how big her belly was, and I thought that was really strange. Um, Anyhow, that's what happened last night at midnight. Probably the reason why I'm so hungover is I stayed up later than I normally would just talking to her. I don't know what was going on. I didn't ever ask her, and she asked me if this was about my baby, and I'm like, I haven't touched a woman in so long. I forgot what women are. Anyhow, with that said, today's topic is going to be Walmart. And the idea came to me because YouTube recommended this really long video by Bailey Sarain. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I've never heard of her before, but apparently she has 8 million followers. And I was building furniture and playing this in the background. But as you guys well know, I have hundreds of Megalomart stories. So, with that said, let's get into our introductory monologue and our 3 talking points. You ever look at your empty fridge and think, guess it's time to go worship at the altar of Walmart again? I walk in with $40 on my EBT card and leave with a big bag of anxiety, guilt, and great value off brand everything. Walmart feels like it's helping, but the truth is they built an empire off of our desperation. This isn't just about shopping cheap, it's about how poverty became their business plan. Poverty has been the business plan for Evil Corp since Evil Corp was invented, right? Uh, what did you guys call it in the chat the other day? I think someone called it Pound Town. Every corporation is Pound Town for poor people because we don't have a choice. No one I work with wants to work at Evil Corp. Every one of the guys that I work with has told me 100 times that they hate it and they want to leave. But where are you supposed to go? You know, everyone's overworked, everyone's angry. I mean, I had so many conversations this week about how burnt out people are, and I'm with them. I mean, it's overwhelming what they're expecting for such a small group of people to do. And then they sent out the company appreciation letter, right? And no one from this group ever gets to be on that list. Not a single person has ever been on that list. And you kind of wonder, it's like, Jesus Christ, does no one realize how hard this group has to work in order to keep the lights on? No, they don't think about it. It's just like when something doesn't work, you get on the phone and you find someone to help you. Like, I was working with another guy yesterday, and while we were working on a different problem, I kept seeing in his chat because we were logging into the same computer to test out some of the software, and he'd log into it on his account, and I'd log into it on my account. I could just see the pop-ups over and over and over again, almost to the point that it would drive you insane of people constantly shoulder tapping you. And I mean, it's the same way for me. I mean, all day long, and especially since I'm a person that's on site, if someone's not bugging me about something, I would consider it to be odd. But they come from everywhere, these requests. But getting back on topic here. So the consensus is that every working person right now, if you're not rich, you're not making it. And the sad truth is that we weren't ever supposed to make it. The business plan is to keep you desperate enough for you to come back to work. Happy people don't work at Evil Corp. Happy people do things that they enjoy for a living, not like the rest of us. There isn't one day my entire life that I've ever woken up and thought, oh my God, I have to go back to work. How wonderful. No, you appreciate employment until it's not there. And then you realize, like David VR said in the chat this week, we're all just one paycheck away from returning to a minimum wage job. And he's been at that minimum wage job of his since I've known him. And I think he's been in the comments section for at least a solid maybe 5, 6 years he's been down there commenting regularly on all my videos. But he understands. He has a math degree and a master's degree in math, and he's been minimum wage his entire life. I think the last I remember, I think he lost his job at the 99-cent store. But I knew a girl that had two master's degree that was working at the Dollar General, not for 1 or 2 years, but for 10 years, and she still lives at home. I mean, whatever they're doing to the American worker right now, it's working. I mean, it's keeping them ultra rich with the minimal amount of investment in workers. Talking point number one. Walmart pays its workers so little that many qualify for food stamps, then turns around and profits when those same workers and millions of others on food stamps use their benefits at Walmart. When I was working at Walmart, the general manager told me, and this is the manager of the store told me, Walmart couldn't exist without its own workers spending their food stamp money inside this store. So you think about an evil plan, keep your workers so poor that the government has to support your workers and you benefit from keeping them poor. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like one of the first things I was told after I got hired at Walmart was you qualify for food stamps. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, this place is so evil. that they tell you qualify for food stamps after you get hired, because the last thing they wanted to do is make anyone full time in that place. At this particular Walmart, everyone was 19 to 31 hours. And it's not like you could get another job because, again, the plan is always to make certain that you're viciously poor. And the reason for that is if I think it was 32 hours, that if you made it to 32 hours, they had to pay you health benefits, which Walmart is not interested in doing. So they kept you at those low level hours. Your shifts could start anywhere from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 days a week, and there was no consistency. And that was on purpose. You think you're going to leave at 3? Guess what? The everything isn't done, and so they would make you stay. And there were people that had childcare stuff to take care of, other jobs, school. They didn't care. If you couldn't work the hours that they wanted you to work, you didn't work there anymore. If you came in and checked the schedule and you had a 4 hour shift on a Sunday afternoon, that's their way of firing you, because they won't fire you either because they don't want to pay you unemployment benefits. Everything about working there was just absolutely awful. And the worst part is that you could see the strain on the workers, balding, depressed. I mean, often uh, these people were miserable. A lot of people came into work under the influence of either alcohol or other substances, or they would go out at lunch and get wasted and then come back. I knew a kid that I worked with there that was constantly under the influence, and he ended up joining the military to get out of working there, and then I think he ended up going. I think he's in prison right now for attempted something that I can't say of his wife, but I don't know how that guy got married. Like, oh, it was just you met the worst kind of people working there. I didn't meet a single person that I'd ever talked to ever again while I worked there. In fact, anytime someone I see someone that I used to work with there, I just pretend that I don't know them. It's just that easy because it was such a terrible experience. Talking point number 2. Low prices at Walmart often mean low quality goods, underpaid workers, and destroyed local economies. Shoppers think they're getting a deal, but they're buying into a system that devalues labor and replaces durability with disposability. While I worked at Walmart, I built hundreds, if not thousands, of bikes, right? That was the thing that I did. Walmart won't hire a specialist. Walmart believes that every worker there should be able to do every job. So, since no one else knew anything about putting bikes together, I often, every time they got a large shipment of bikes, that's what I would spend the week doing, is building bikes, which I didn't mind because it was a lot better than working in the money center. Anything was better than working in the money center or working returns. Those are probably the worst jobs. I would rank those jobs equivalent to cleaning the bathrooms, which everyone has to do as well. And so it was a question that I got asked regularly. Is this a good bike? Like, some kids' parents would come up to me and it's like, would you buy this bike? And I would always tell them no. This is the lowest quality bike. Think about it. Would you drive a car that was put together by the people who work inside of a Walmart? I personally wouldn't. I actually ended up buying one of those crappy Walmart bikes because my bike got stolen from outside work one day and I had to find a way to get home. So I bought one of their bikes. The next day, the thing had fallen completely apart. And there's one thing at Walmart, particularly that one: no returns on bikes. If you wanted to do a return on a bike, you had to take it to another store because they had so many returns of bikes that it would fill up the entire back room. So they had to start saying no to it because they didn't have the space to store all of the failed bikes. But having been a person who bought one of those things, oh my God, it was the worst decision I made when it came to bikes. It was the lowest quality bike I had ever owned. So that thing ended up falling apart within a few days. They wouldn't give me a refund, so I had to go to the pawn shop and get a used bike. That the owner of that bike was a person that was also really cheap. They didn't believe in any bike maintenance whatsoever. The first thing I figured out about that bike was the entire drivetrain was completely worn down. Everything, the cog, the cassette, the chain wheels, the chain. I had to buy new pedals, new bottom bracket. Everything in the drivetrain had to be replaced right away. And the bike ended up costing me $60, and just to replace all of the drivetrain parts was $300, which a lot of them I still have on the current bike. I've had that bike now for, oh my gosh, I've had it for 7 years, I think. So yeah, it's what you get at Walmart. In fact, one of my supervisors used to complain about the Great Value brand all the time and how terrible it was, because remember, in order to make it that cheap, it's got to be made with the cheapest possible ingredients. I'm surprised people who eat Great Value brand can still see. You would think it would be something that would make you go blind because of how low quality it is. All right, moving on to talking point number three. Walmart strategically places stores in underserved communities, drives out smaller businesses, and becomes the only affordable place left. For many, boycotting Walmart isn't an option, it's a privilege. This is exactly what people say to me about Amazon all the time. Everyone hates Amazon. But unfortunately, we live in a world in which stores that we used to go to, they're no longer available. There's no Radio Shacks, there's no Fry's Electronics, there's nothing. If I needed a graphics card for my computer right now, it's pretty much Walmart, or you're going to have to find a specialized gaming store that would sell something like a 4080. I wouldn't buy a 50 series, which video card right now, they're way too expensive. But like what I currently have in my machine's a 3080 Ti, which so far I bought this computer like 3 years ago, and it's been pretty good. I can't get the side panel back on to save my life. I actually have the side panel right now duct taped on there because I got tired of having that panel just drifting around my house. But there are certain things you can't do anymore without Walmart. They represent so many different things. They're a bike shop, they're a bait shop, they're a hardware store, they're a grocery store. I mean, the amount of I think Walmart's like 70% of its business is now just selling groceries. So they've outpriced every other grocery store that's out there. I mean, sometimes I'll go to Kroger's rather than Walmart, but the Walmart prices are always lower, and Kroger always wants you to buy more of a product in order to get savings. And I don't need 4 6 packs of Coke like in order to get the discounted price, which is Walmart's everyday price. So they've created a society where Walmart is absolutely necessary. I actually got recommended a video last week, and it was talking about how Walmart has really insidious business practices. Once a Walmart goes out of business in a certain area, you're not allowed to use the building for anything else. In fact, Walmarts are built so cheaply that they're only designed for a 10-year cycle, right? At least this is what this video was saying. And after that's over, you're not allowed to use that location for anything else. So you can't, Target can't come over and take a Walmart building because they don't want to have to compete with its other stores. So that's the way they ensure that certain communities no longer have a grocery store, no longer have access to that, so that they'll have to go to another one of those locations that may be miles away. Because right now, my two Walmarts are the one on rural and Southern, and then the closest other one is on Priest and Elliott. And neither one of those are considered super Walmarts either. Especially that one. I worked at the much smaller one right down the street that went out of business in 2019. Thank God. The only reason I was able to get out of Walmart is because it went out of business and they gave everyone a 2 month severance package. And that 2 months wasn't for us to go find a better job. No, they encourage everyone, and I mean really encourage everyone to transfer to the Walmart right up the street. It was implied that you should find another Walmart job so that they didn't have to give you severance. But it was, again, evil business practices to try to force their employees into another place so that they can be exploited for the minimum wage. Because at Walmart, there are no raises. And the people who get promoted up, often the managers that do get promoted up, the employees that actually care about their jobs, if they get promoted up into a manager job, that manager job will pay slightly more, but they will make you salary. And you will work 6 days a week on that salary. And remember, after 40 hours, they don't have to pay you, but it's expected that you work 6 days a week and way more than 8 hours. So those people who get promoted, they just get exploited even harder. All right, let's see. Here's our closing monologue for today. They don't want you to realize it, but Walmart needs you to stay broke. Because if you ever had enough to shop somewhere else, to demand better, their billion-dollar castle starts to shake. So every box of cereal you buy, every dollar of food stamps you swipe, you're not just surviving. You're feeding a machine that never feeds you back. And until we burn the blueprint, steal the deodorant, or build something better, we'll stay stuck in the aisle of someone else's empire. That was one of the nastiest things I saw when I worked at Walmart. Every single employee stole from the store. I mean, I'd see people shove deodorant down the front of their pants right at closing time. Everyone was walking out with something. I mean, and everyone is so destructive. People would lose the equipment all the time. While I was there, they probably went through at least 20 of those little product scanners because people kept throwing them away or losing them. And you wonder, it's like, at what point doesn't management understand that all of your workers absolutely despise this place with the true passion? And that was just how employees showed it during the slavery days on the plantations. That was the way that the slaves were able to show some rebellion. They'd slow down, they'd destroy the equipment, or they would eat the crops. All of the same things that you see inside of a Walmart store. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not sure how long it is. It feels like I've been talking for a while, but I wasn't looking at the timer. Okay, so it's about 20 minutes. All right, so you guys are going to see this video up in a little bit, and I hope to see you guys in the live stream later on.